we have a Professor Justin Mudekereza. I'm not gonna introduce him, he's gonna introduce himself, and he's gonna be our guest today. And we're gonna talking about a few things. And before we get to things that we're gonna be talking about today, I'm just gonna have Mr. and Professor Justin Mudekereza to introduce himself, and then we'll talk about what we're gonna be sharing today. Mr. Justin, first of all, you're welcome.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Cedric.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, as you said earlier, Professor Justin Mudekereza. I'm from the DR Congo, and I'm here in the United States, and I'm an author, published author of many books and articles.
This is great. We're gonna touch about that too.
Yeah, of course. And I'm the executive director of New Neighbor Relief, which is a non-profit organization helping refugees here in the United States. I'm also the director of Aspire for African Development and Consulting Limited,
Great.
which is also a big consulting organization helping other organizations across African countries. So I'm at the same time the moral authority of a group of all the civil society organizations in the DR Congo.
And actually, that's the most important things we want to be talking about today. Yeah. Now you talked about your work. You done a lot of things. You are into a lot of things, either in the United States and back in the country. And most importantly, you are an author. Oh my gosh, of 3 books, and I have them right here with me. And this first one is Understanding the Multifaceted Management Problems of Refugee Settlement in the United States, which talks about more refugees here in America. A study that was made by refugees in San Diego. And you also talked about this one actually was one of the craziest shithole countries, Le Pays de Merde. I know you also have this one in French too, right? About how this can serve a learning lesson to African continent, which is great. But the most important book that I want us to really focus on today is this recent one. I know you wrote this book just right when the Congo was about to get into elections, and this was like a word of warning.
Yeah.
Why this? Why did you want to warn people? And what's that warning for? And now we have elections. So do you think there is a big warning that people should be, care about?
The wars that are going in Congo, I call them mineral wars, because we know why all this has been happening, and it's not stopping. It's not stopping soon. So I wrote this book because I wanted to warn the world about what is going on in Congo. And they have been planning for elections. This book actually was published, I started writing it last year, but it was published last year, sorry. I started writing in 2017 at the end, right as I was analyzing the situation of elections in our country. But I published it in May 2018. So it's actually a result of a kind of vision that I had a certain night. And I was thinking about the situation in the country, and I saw things were passing in my eyes, in my sight. And you can see even here where we say there's something I talked about it there. So I saw the escalation of the situation in the Congo during the elections. And I said, oh my goodness, because I'm a torture survivor myself, that the story. And I know what it takes, to be tortured, what it means to be tortured.
Is that the warning you're trying to push into the people?
Yeah, the warning is that many people are going to die. That's what I said. Many people are going to die in 2018 as a result of elections.
And they did.
So, they have been postponing the elections because there are people who don't want to quit the power. They've been postponing elections, and people want change in the country. So, but when I looked into this, I said, oh, I know what's going to happen. And I know when you ask me, maybe we're going to talk about the scenarios that I thought will be happening. And I'm not a prophet, but I still think that many people I talked about, many things, and all the situations I talked about in my book, most of them are happening now. So the elections took place on December 30th, and we are seeing how the situation is moving in the country. And I think that my book is really saying it right.
So speaking about that, speaking about the warning, there's a lot of things you're talking about. You're talking about reference to a lot of countries in Africa in general, but you also talk about Congo a lot in this book. But also you talk about the political climate in the Congo and the political parties and the elections and the power in place and all that. Now we had elections recently, and this week they've postponed the results of the elections again for another week, in which we really don't know if that's going to happen or if that's not going to happen. What's your feeling about the postponing of elections all the time? What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I know. For me, I don't feel anything. I'm not surprised because I knew it will happen.
Okay, so it's something
as
you
I
just
said about
expecting.
my book, I was expecting, because my book was saying that the DR Congo and the people in general were not ready for an election now. So therefore, I suggested a transitional government without Joseph Kabila, the current president, because there is no way you can organize elections in the current situation in the Congo. The political environment is not clean enough to be able to organize a democratic election in our country.
Now, let's talk about that. Now, you say that the climate is not really great and how the Congo is going right now. So now elections has passed, which was the chaotic elections ever. And I don't know how I can, say that. But now elections has passed and people are waiting for results. What do you think will happen? What kind of scenarios do you think will happen in these coming weeks?
This is a very important question. Well, I think there are three scenarios that we can think about, and I talked about them earlier in my book.
Okay, let's listen to those three scenarios.
Number one, so the elections have just taken place. We are waiting for the results to be published. And there is an electoral commission which is really, kind of linked to the president in power, and nobody's willing to give out the results. So they know what happened. They knew that the opposition would win the elections, and this was from long way behind, so long ago. They knew that. But what is going to happen is one scenario. Number one is the electoral commission to publish the opposition as winner. That's number one, because there's a lot of pressure behind that. And
when you're speaking about opposition, what you're talking about, because now there is a division in opposition. We have Martin Fayulu side, and we have Tshisekedi and Vital. So when you say they're gonna publish an opposition leader, who do you think that's gonna be at this point?
Of course, if you look into the way the opposition went to the elections, you cannot think about any other candidate who will win the elections other than Martin Fayulu.
Okay, so that means if they publish something, that will be Martin Fayulu. So what would be the second scenario?
So I'm not yet done with the first one.
Okay.
The first one is Martin Fayulu wins the election, and then the majority, the FCC with the majority will contest this election. And once they contest, because the Constitutional Court and the Supreme Court, these are institutions which are running under Joseph Kabila.
Yeah, all the
he's
justice.
He's the one who appointed them, and he always gives them, or tells them what to do.
Yeah.
So they will say, okay, because we want the elections, the people want the opposition to win, so we'll say that, okay, the opposition won, because this is not really a final result that the electoral commission is giving.
Provisional.
So, and then we say, okay, we are contesting this, and we go to the Supreme Court. So because the Supreme Court is theirs, so the Supreme Court would say, okay, we cancel the elections. And the Constitution of Congo says that the current president remains in power until the election of a new one. So he will remain in power as a result of the Constitutional Court or the Supreme Court to say that, okay, he has to remain until we organize the new elections. And this will take again long. That's number one. Number two, they will say, okay, Shadari, that's one of the majority candidates, you can say he won the elections. And once they say that, the people will not accept.
So you're talking about revolution.
They will go in the streets and burn and do many things so they can try to liberate themselves, which is not really an easy thing.
The liberation.
So in this scenario, many people will die, of course, because we have those in power who are not really pitiful, so they don't care about.
Careless.
Yeah. So the soldiers, the army and the police run under their responsibility, under whatever they tell them to do, kill or not kill. So they
doesn't matter.
So that's what is going to happen. So number three is when we have these international forces coming in, the United States is already deploying soldiers.
I know, that's
go
crazy.
There and say, we will look into the situation and know if we can intervene in the DR Congo. It's crazy, but we have, as I told you earlier when I started, I consider the war in Congo as a mineral war. So
that means China is there.
Each of these international powers, they
there.
say we are going to protect our interests in the DR Congo. And of course, they have many interests there. So the United States have already deployed, Russia will deploy, China will deploy, and we will be into a third world war in the DR Congo.
That's crazy.
So this is something that we don't want it to happen, of course, but it's something we're looking into. We see how things are moving, and we can think about something.
Now, this is crazy because, those scenarios, it looks really possible, and, like the way things just been going has been crazy. Now, there is another very interesting question here that, people keep asking themselves. Now, let's say, for instance, Martin Fayulu, with the pressure of international organizations, with the pressure of United Nations, with the pressure of all the people that care, and once in history, at least we have a candidate that has been chosen by people. Let's say Martin Fayulu is there. What would Tshisekedi and Vital will be? Are they going to be opposition leaders? Are they going to fight Fayulu? Or what's going to happen? Because that's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing. In 2006, I was a parliament member candidate in our country.
I remember that.
And that was actually what led me to serious torture. I know politics is a game of interest. And everyone goes by, what I'm gaining in this. So they had, the people of the DR Congo wanted, because they want change. And they said, okay, since we have many, you know that the DR Congo has over 500 political parties. So, and they said, okay, we have very many people. And another thing, the Congolese people always want power. Everyone wants to become president of the country. This is another big issue for the Congo. So the people say, this time we are tired, we need change. So we want you guys from the opposition to give us at least one candidate. That the candidate which will, that will compete with the majority, so we can know that we have only one candidate. So they did many agreements. And at the end, they went to Switzerland. That's where they made the last agreement for the opposition. And they decided to have one candidate. So from there, they made Martin Fayulu the unique candidate of the
opposition,
the opposition or common candidate. So they said, okay, this one will represent the opposition. But right after signing the agreement, Felix Tshisekedi said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm retrieving my signature. And he said...
And Vital Kamerhe did the same.
So he said that, okay, they asked him, even the news guys asked him, okay, what do you think? Do you think your people will accept this, or your political party? They said, yeah, I will make sure they understand that they accept it, because the people need change, and the change today is Martin Fayulu. He said that very well, clearly. But later on, he said, oh, I'm retrieving my signature. So right after him, Vital Kamerhe also said, oh, I'm retrieving my signature too. And they made their own coalition. So they moved from the other coalition that they made, because the other one had very many other opposition leaders who are strong. Among them, we have Moise Katumbi,
who is
we
still
have
in exile right
Jean-Pierre
now?
Bemba,
Jean-Pierre Bemba.
we have Adolphe Muzito, Professor Matungulu, so Martin Fayulu himself, Mbusa Nyamwisi, you know, he's also a great leader from the eastern part. So all these, and that was really an expression of winning from. For
so
the
what do you think will be? What do you think will happen to Tshisekedi and Vita?
So yeah,
at this
to
point?
answer your question there, I know it's clear because he went with his coalition, Vital Kamerhe, in the campaign. They campaigned, but I told people that this is a failure. You cannot go like that and hope winning. You know, people, the DR Congo people are now growing up. They have been through a lot and they need change. So I know this is what we call political death. So Felix Tshisekedi and Vital Kamerhe are dead politically. And there is no way they will come back on the political scene of the DR Congo. Because, you know, if Martin Fayulu takes over, it will be 5 years, and then later on they will have to organize elections, and they will, maybe Felix will try again, but I'm not sure they will ever win.
Yeah, that's crazy because I'm not a political guy, but I feel like the fact that they retrieved the signature from others, it made people let's trust them more because you know, people had their backs, and suddenly they did not show that they can represent. They look like a little bit traitors in that area. But you know, I really feel like it's really now not doing good, man. This is really amazing. Now, last thing tonight is, now you see all these things happening. You've offered some of the scenarios that could happen, and how Rosiko is also trying to do things to make the government accountable with the people power. Now, what's your message to the people of Congo right now?
That's really interesting. My message to the DR Congo people is just keep hoping for the best, because I know the future holds a lot for the DR Congo. This is a very wealthy country around the world. We just need proper and smooth leadership that will help, smooth management of the country with the great leadership that will help our people to reach the development and achieve all the goals that they have for the best. So, but as we wait for the publication of the election results, I think it's time for the people to pray hard, to cross fingers, so that things can go as they dream them to be. But I'm still skeptical on that, because I know what's going to happen, and I said it already in this book. So for me, I know we can keep hoping, but it's good after all those scenarios to pass, maybe we can come up to a transitional government without Joseph Kabila. I'm still believing that will happen, and that's the only way we can organize free and fair elections in the DR Congo. And this way, the government that will be there in the transitional period, they shouldn't be people who will stand in the elections, just like they did in Central in Central African Republic. So those who managed the transitional period, they never stood as candidates in the elections. And this is good.
They should be neutral,
yeah,
right?
Because if you are managing the country and you are the one to appoint the electoral commission, then in this case you are
manipulating
stuff. So you can manipulate. That's it.
Man, I'll be happy to welcome you one more time to Sauti Blog, and maybe after the results and see what happens, to see if your predictions will be real, and just to catch up again to see how far we are. And so right now, I mean, this is a very important book that I feel like a lot of people should buy, and you have this in French and English, right? Yeah. So if I want to buy this book, where can I get it?
All right, so all my books are available on Amazon. Just write in, just go on your browser and write Justin Mudekereza or Professor Justin Mudekereza. All my books will pop up, and you'll choose the book you want. So all of them are on Amazon.
And how much they are? Mostly this one for now, as we're talking
this
about.
This one is 1990 cents. So okay. It's they are just cheap things. My books are not very expensive, because I want people to access them and be able to read and get more information from what is going on around.
That's really great. Now, let's, if you really wanna have this book, check it out on Amazon. You can see right here. If you need any questions, just check up in a comment down there and tell us what you think. But also, you might also have some more ideas about this topic today. Give us your feedback, and then so that we can keep developing on how we can all contribute in one way or another to our great nation, which is Congo. Guys, thank you so much, and stay tuned at www.sautivoice.com for more information about Congo, global crisis, refugee and immigrant issues. Thank you so much. I'm one and only host, Cedric Murula. And again, one more time, thank you so much, Professor Justin Mudekereza, and hope to see you soon again.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.